This episode is brought to you by Lash Boss Summit. Lash Boss Summit is 2 full days of education in Austin, Texas on April 26th and 27th. The lineup is incredible. There are so many talented and genuine people on stage, so you're going to walk away with a ton of lash artistry and business strategy after that weekend. Not only that, there is built-in networking opportunities so that you can make new friends and connections while you're here. Your ticket also includes breakfast and lunch on both days, and all of this could be under $500 if you use code LashBossRadio. Lash Boss Summit is regarded as being incredibly impactful but not overwhelming, in the sense of it was designed to reduce anxiety and just be very warm and welcoming and just deliver a ton of value. The lineup, agenda, and tickets can all be found on lashbosssummit.com. I'd really like to see you there. I promise you it will be more than worth it. Enjoy this episode, and I hope to see you in April. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lash Boss Radio. I'm Shelby, your host, and today I am joined by Carlee Workman. She's the founder of Lash Reality based in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today we're going to talk all about branding and hiring and all of that fun stuff. So welcome to the show, Carlee.
Hi, Shelby. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited you're on.
I know. I'm really excited. I'm pretty nervous. This is like something that really scares me. So I'm being brave today, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this.
Yes, it's going to be great. I think just to start off, could you share a little bit about you and how you got into this industry?
Yeah. So I started doing lashes in 2008. It was like a brand new thing, honestly. Like very few people were doing it back then. Hated it at first. Right out of esthetician school, I was like, all I really was interested in was doing skin and the esthetician thing. And I just came back to Vegas after school looking for a job. And this lady in this random place that I walked into, she was looking for someone to help her with her overflow for her lash business. And I just wanted a job and I took it and she trained me. And so I just jumped right in. Um, I was basically handed a full clientele, and I was pretty lucky with that, because, that's the hardest part about being a lash artist.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
I know, I was just like so I got experience really fast, and I just kinda ran with it, and 12 years later, I was like, "Oh, okay, what am I doing? What are we doing?" Um, I got burned out pretty quickly because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Worked every single day, all day long. And I never really wanted to have a product line, but I felt like I didn't I felt like I didn't really belong in the lash industry. I don't know, I feel like as a solo lash artist, you can feel like you wanna belong somewhere, and I always felt like I didn't belong. I didn't have a brand that I really connected with, or I don't know, you can feel very lonely when you're doing lashes and you don't have other people that you work with or all that. So that was like a big thing that I really wanted to create, was a community that was accepting of anybody. I felt like there just wasn't a lot of brands out there that were more easygoing. So that was one thing I wanted to create. And then also doing clients all full time like that, I was like about to take volume off my menu because it just was so hard to I just didn't enjoy making fans. I didn't enjoy how long it took me to do a client. So that's when pre-made fans kind of popped in my head, and did some research, and I found one company that actually carried them, and that was it. And I was like, "What the freak?" So I ordered these pre-made fans. I really hadn't heard anything about pre-made fans at that point. Tried them, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna change my life. Like, this is gonna change everything for me. How come nobody likes these? How come nobody uses these?" So basically my brand was developed because of that, because I just felt like I couldn't not bring pre-made fans into the industry. Um, and so when I first started it, that's kinda all I wanted to do. I didn't care to have all the products and all the things, but I feel like once we came out with pre-made fans and things were rolling, it got more fun, and it was like, "Oh, well, we could have this and that, and now we have a full product line," and I think we're going on 4 years? Or are we going on 5 years? We're almost 5 years.
It's crazy. And y'all's branding is so, so cute. It's so different. And who's the brains behind that? Did you design everything?
So, that was, like, my I feel like that was, like, the best, money I ever spent when I started Lash Reality was hiring somebody that knew how to do graphic design. So, I spent a lot of money on somebody that set up the whole brand vibe and all that, and she did such a good job. But then can when Kayla came into the picture, like, a year and a half ago, she just, like, took all everything that we had had, and she, like, blew it up into way cooler and way funner, and I don't know, that's my favorite part about having the product line, honestly, is just having cute, bright, fun stuff.
Yeah, it's very different, very catchy, or eye-catching, I should say, and I love it. I feel like when I think of LashCon, I think of you guys and your booth, and then the party. When did y'all did it not this past year, but the year before y'all did a Vegas themed party, right?
Yeah. So we didn't have a booth, 2 years ago, we just sponsored the party,
Got it.
but
And then last year y'all did the cool booth.
yeah, we went all out and did a fun booth.
I love it. I did actually want to ask about Kayla. So you mentioned her. I was going to ask you. So Kayla Smith, everyone, she's Vaude Lashes on Instagram. She works for Lash Reality. She doesn't live in Vegas, but I guess she travels every once in a while to come up. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what was the reason you hired her? And in that position, now having that filled, like how has that changed how Lash Reality functions?
So, it's kind of just random, and how it happened was just, like, very easy and meant to be. Like, when I started my brand, Halo was starting her brand. She had a product line. So, in a way, she was, kind of my competition. But her branding and everything that she did, like, just wowed me. Kinda made me feel like, "Man, I don't think I can do this." Like, VOD just always really stood out to me. I placed an order with her, and everything was so nice and cute, and the products were great. Like, so I'd always message her and be like, "Oh, Kayla," complimenting her, and just, I don't know, I just felt like I loved her and her brand so much. So we just kind of, started talking like that, and, we would kinda ask each other questions, be, like, here for each other with product line type stuff. Um, and then randomly, I happened to be looking for a new graphic designer because I wanted to find somebody that was actually in the lash industry, because my first graphic designer, she was amazing, but she was very surface level as far as, eyelash extensions. She didn't know anything about them, so everything that I needed, I'd have to directly, like, tell her and point it out, and that's just, like, a lot. That's a lot more that I would have to do every single day. So, I was literally messaging a few people online that were in the lash industry, that week, and then Kayla just randomly messaged me and said, "Carlee, like, I wanna really get into graphic design. If I know you mentioned you wanted to change your website, like, if you need anything, I'm here." And it was, like, so weird how it was, like, literally the week that I was trying to find somebody new. So I was like, "Yeah, girl, like, please." So she redid my website, and just fell in love with everything she did, and I knew she was amazing, and I literally hired her, like, as soon as she was done with my website. I was like, "Can you just stop doing everything that you do for other people, stop doing clients, and just, like, come work with me?" And she said, "Yes," and I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
It was kinda scary because I really couldn't afford her, honestly. Like, I had to replace, like, her monthly income with all her other little things. But I just, like, took a chance on it, and I knew that I couldn't do what I wanted to do by myself. So, having her has, like, changed everything. I tell her all the time, I'm like, "I don't know if I would still be going if I didn't have her, because it's hard."
Mhm.
Having a product line and all this, it's really hard and it's a lot. So
She is great. I got to sit down and talk with her at Lash Boss Summit, and I thought the world of her. She's really intelligent and very emotionally intelligent too. And I don't know. I really feel like I connected with her at that time, but
Mhm.
maybe she feels the same, maybe not. But
She does, she loves you. She said it, a lot of times.
oh, that is awesome. No, she's great. And but yeah, you mentioned that having a product line is super hard. What don't people realize? Because I think there's so many product lines and people aspire to have one day. Is there anything that you can share, like that people may not know about it?
So, I feel like at first it's all super fun, super exciting, you can't wait to do all these things, which I still do think it's fun and exciting, but, there's just so much going into it. I mean, I feel like even just being a lash artist and having your own business, once you start making money and doing all these things, like, you gotta figure out finances and your products, costs and all this stuff. So, I feel like having a product line is like that, but, like, times 10. Like, I have a list of shit to do every single day that's, like, not fun shit. Like emailing my accountant this and, telling my manufacturer that they sent me $10,000 worth of shitty products. It's just there's just a lot. Sales tax. If you really wanna be, like, legit and what's the word? Yeah, and
Legal?
legal. If you wanna be legal about everything that you do, which you have to be, right? Once you get to a certain point. Just kidding. Um, but I just feel like it just takes a lot of work,
Hmm. I can
and
see that.
I'm like somebody that would tell anybody, if you wanna start a product line and it's something that you've always wanted to do, like, do it. Like, go for it. I feel like a lot of brands, I don't wanna be that person that's like, "Oh, it's really hard, don't do it," but because it is hard, but it's also fulfilling. Like, I feel like I have changed many, many people's lives. The messages that I get from lash artists, it's really cool.
Hmm.
Makes me that makes it all worth it.
Aw. I think so you mentioned you don't want to be that person that's like, "Oh, don't do it." I think something that I've always resonated with is like if somebody can't talk you out of it, that means it's probably meant for you. But if it's something that you think you should do because it's something maybe you've seen work for other people and you're like, "Oh, I need to do this. That would make me successful." Then maybe that's not the right reason, but if it's something you're really feeling passionate about, then it is for you. And yep, it's going to come with challenges, but it's also probably very fulfilling to have
Yeah,
accomplished something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Anything that's worth working for, I guess.
I feel like Lash Reality really has their branding down and also their brand voice, or including their brand voice. So I want to ask you if you have any advice for someone who is a business owner, whether they're a solo artist or salon, like how they can stand out in terms of branding.
So, as far as branding goes, I feel like if it's not, your specialty, I feel like hiring somebody to help you with that is really important. Because even when you have somebody that, brands you, you always use a certain font and colors and things like that. Even when I was handed all those tools and I would try to create something with those tools, it wouldn't end up being cohesive. Like, it's very easy to, like, go off of what your branding should look like. So my best advice is to have somebody help you with that if you really wanna stay on brand, which I do think it's really important, and I think that's what makes you stand out.
So, how much time do you guys spend like on strategizing your social media posts, or when you guys are like the website needs an update? How does that look like for you and Kayla?
Um, it's a lot. I feel like we are doing that every single day. We definitely don't we do have, the social media planned out a little bit, but we're literally working on it every single day because there's just so much to talk about, but at the same time, we have to come out with things that are interesting, that are not just the same as everybody else. Um, so that is like that's a full-time job, and Kayla does a lot more than just social media for me, so she's working more than full-time right now,
Mhm.
but she knows what you know, she knows what people wanna hear and what's interesting, which I've kind of lost that a little bit because I feel like I went so hard for a couple years without her. Now I'm kinda like, "Shoot, I feel like I'm bored and I don't know what to say." So it's nice to have her kind of having the ideas.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as, like, website stuff, like, that's constantly evolving also. Whatever platform you use, we use Shopify, that's like a they constantly are putting things in front of us that are like, "Oh, customize your checkouts, you can leave photos on your reviews," and that stuff is very over my head, like, I don't know how to do the computer stuff, so Kayla does all that too.
That's amazing. She's great.
She's
Would you say that social media is probably the hardest part about owning a business and just or staying present on social media and constantly posting? Is that like the hardest thing for you? I that is it for me. I'm like, am I just I don't know. That's how it feels for me though.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. Um, I honestly don't get on social media and, look at what everybody else is doing, like, I just don't because that almost to me makes me less creative, because I feel like then my brain focuses on what other people are doing, and I'm like, "Oh, I should probably talk about that, or I should probably do that." So I feel pretty strongly about not comparing yourself to others and just even like for this podcast, last night I was like, I need to go listen to a few of Shelby's episodes of other people and hear kind of how her like I just never I, it's I never listened to podcasts, but I didn't do it because I was like, why do I need to go listen to someone else's so I know what to say on mine? Like,
I get that. I try to stay off of Lash TikTok. So on my Lash page, I don't usually scroll from that account. I scroll on my personal account and I follow nothing Lash related. So I'm seeing like travel and cats and parenting stuff. But I don't want to be influenced, I guess, subliminally even by what everyone else is doing. And I hear that's what you're saying too, which is interesting.
I just feel like when you do that, it's never a positive thing. Like
Yeah.
you're beating yourself up, you're
Yeah.
comparing yourself to everybody else, I mean,
I know.
but that's very hard to stay away from that.
I know. I totally get it. Yeah. I'll spend very little time scrolling on Lash, Instagram or Lash TikTok because I feel the same way. I don't end up getting off my phone feeling better than I started when I scroll for a long time looking at the Lash world. So, yeah, I get that. So, a lot of people listening are either salon owners or solo artists, or they work inside of a salon. And I wanted to see if you had any advice about being authentic in business, finding that ideal client, um, somebody that really matches your vibe versus like just casting a really large net and trying to catch any and everything.
Mhm. Um, I feel like I'm somebody that is overly authentic, which I'm not saying everyone needs to be that way because sometimes I've tried to find this balance because I've realized and I've learned that I've portrayed myself as a different person online than I really am in person, which that's not I didn't do it on
In
purpose.
what way?
So, laughing, jokes, stuff like that is, like, my favorite thing in the world, and so my brand, like, I started and I would post this stuff that was pretty outrageous, and then I meet people in person and, like, they expect me to be, like, how I am on there, just, like, funny all the time and crazy and like a party animal. It's very weird because I really didn't realize that I was doing that. So now I'm like, when I meet people, I feel like it's like an upset, like I'm way cooler online than I am in person.
Oh, no.
No, it's true. It's really interesting actually.
Oh,
But that has also gotten me when you post stuff and you're doing things and putting yourself out there, people are attracted to that for sure because everyone's sick of people that are being fake and everything's perfect and all that. So it's worked in my benefit, but that's the only bad thing about it is that I'm like, okay, I need to like find a balance there. I feel like I've heard so many people that have taken courses that have been taught like, okay, you have to do this, this, and this to get the clientele that you want and to be the lash artist that you want. And I just feel like everybody's journey is so different. Everyone's just looks different. Like nobody's ideal clientele is the exact same. So I
mhm.
feel like learning about that comes with experience. Like I don't feel like people should um I mean, I feel like you can't just cast a net over everything, but I feel like you can. Oh my gosh, Shelby, what the fuck?
I
I can
know. I
I
know
cannot.
it. This
This
is
is
what I do too. It's okay.
embarrassing.
I know. I know what you're saying. And I don't feel embarrassed for you, but I truly I know what you're saying. I do this all the time.
Everyone's goal with their businesses is different. Everyone likes a different type of clientele. So I feel like don't like cap yourself on certain things. Like when you're lashing, take all different sorts of styles. Like figure out what you do like to do and what you're good at and then kind of focus on that. But I feel like nobody should come out the gates just being like, I'm only taking natural Russian volume sets.
Got
I
it.
mean, I think that you can get there eventually, but I don't know. I feel like you might learn a thing or 2 about maybe doing colored lashes or doing other styles that you might love more than that.
Got it. Yeah, that's good advice. Before niching down, like try everything and then see what I guess feels right after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that even made any sense. Or didn't.
um, I do also want to ask you about Lash Boss Summit. I have also asked like pretty much everyone else that's been on my show recently, but because it's coming up in a couple months, I wanted to ask like what your experience was like last year and if you could share just your perspective on it because you attended.
Yeah, we actually did a podcast talking just about Lash Boss Summit, me and Kayla. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but
I did.
we
Thank
loved
you.
Lash Boss Summit. That was, like, one of our first events that we went to that wasn't LashCon, actually, and I mean, we didn't have a booth, so we just you invited us, and we just went and attended, and it was so much fun, and it was smaller, so it was more intimate. I we loved everything about Lash Boss Summit.
Aw, thank you. I
Yeah.
I really appreciated you guys coming and I did hear the podcast. Thank y'all. I was like smiling so hard whenever I heard it.
We were smiling about Lash Boss Summit for a long time. Like, we just it was really you did a really good job, Shelby. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you so much.
I feel like I just wanna interview you. Like, are you excited about it coming up?
I am. Yeah, it's coming up very fast though. Like it's in 2 months. It's crazy, but yeah, I'm ready. Everything's pretty much done, so it'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So, for somebody that's never been to an event at all in the industry, what advice do you have for them going into it, especially if they're going by themselves?
So, I feel like going to an event, it can be really scary, but just going and taking it all in and meeting people. Don't be afraid to, like, talk to people that maybe you've met online. I don't know. I feel like it's just different than you expect. Like, it's feels very scary and intimidating, but once you go and you start talking to people and put yourself out there a little bit, the connections that you make and the friendships that you make is, like, unlike anything else.
Mhm. Do
Like
you
go
do
ahead.
do you find that you feel that way, but then you also get to talking to people and you notice that they also feel the same way? Like everyone is a little bit uncomfortable or anxious aside from like the super outgoing extroverts, which I feel like most of us aren't in this industry that way.
Yeah. It's very awkward and you can just feel it because I don't know, somebody told me once at a party, a lash party that we went to go into a party, don't don't think about your Instagram and what your Instagram name is and what their Instagram name is. Like, try to remove that and then genuinely, like, meet someone, talk to someone, like, because I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, we friends on social media? We've talked before, but where I don't even know where they're from." So, I don't know, it's like the weirdest, most awkward thing about events to me is the Instagram thing.
You're right. You're right. Sometimes I feel like I'm meeting somebody and I do think that like, shoot, should I already like recognize where this person is from and who they are? Because sometimes I don't. Um, but yeah.
Like, you can I can have, like, a friend on there that I talk to all the time, and she'll walk by me at an event, and I will literally have no idea that it's her, like,
Hmm.
it's weird. That happened to me at LashCon, actually. Somebody um, was messaging me at the restaurant, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I saw you at the restaurant last night, da 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 da. I didn't come say hi, I didn't wanna interrupt." And I was like, "What the I'm like, "You're one of my pros, like, I've just never met you in person." So, I feel like sometimes it's just hard for people to remember Instagram names and even, like, what you look like because you kinda, like, remember their profile picture. That's kinda what, like,
Yeah.
the bell.
Yeah.
I feel like you just can't take it personally, like, it's just Instagram is a whole different world, so try to leave that out of the picture when you're actually at an event.
Exactly. Yeah, and just knowing that everyone is a little bit uncomfortable too, and I try to find the people that I could tell are like by themselves and uncomfortable and like go talk to them because I know how that feels to just be like, "Oh fuck, I don't want to be in this crowd right now. I want to go back to my hotel room."
Mhm.
You know?
I do the same thing.
Yeah. I
But then
spend go
sometimes,
ahead.
like, my awkwardness is, like, I'll just go up to anybody who is by themselves, and I'll be like, "Hi, like, what's your name? Where are you from?" Whatever, and I feel like it feels a little forced, so I
Yeah.
feel like the person is still uncomfortable, and they're kinda like, "Why are you talking?" I don't know.
I get that. I know. After a few drinks though, like I am just wanting everybody to like go
Uh,
out.
yeah.
I think I tried to get you to go out with us last year at LashCon too.
Mhm.
You didn't though, right?
Yeah, that night I was like 'cause remember I don't know if you even remember at that point, but well, no, that's not what I mean. I don't remember if you were there, but I remember a few of you guys wanted us to go out, and then somebody said something to me that really hurt my feelings, and I started crying at the end of the party, and it was so embarrassing, and I was like, "Ah, I hate everyone." So I left
No.
my room, but that's actually something that I feel like is, really hard about events is that there's a lot of people that wanna go out and party and do all these things, but it's like, if you do that every night, you're not gonna have, like, a great next day because you're gonna feel like crap or you're gonna sleep in.
Yep.
Like, kinda decide your boundaries
I
before you
know.
event.
Yeah. And yeah, because I did drag a lot of people out with me. And then the next day I slept most of the day and I didn't go to any talks or anything. So yeah, you definitely have to have yeah, a boundary there.
Yeah, and that's really hard, especially if you're a people pleaser, and going out and partying with everybody, like it's fun. It's definitely has, like, its perks, and sometimes that's when you, like, really bond with somebody and you meet somebody because you're not afraid to talk to them
Yeah.
you're partying, but it's
There's too
also
much too. Like, you can do too much of that.
for sure.
Yeah, so I did that, and lesson learned there. Um,
I've done it too.
I feel like at LashCon, you gotta do that at least once. Um,
Yeah, you just do, like, it's part of it almost.
yes. So if anyone listening wants to purchase Lash Reality products, where should they go?
So you can go to our website, it's lashreality.com, uh, or you can shop on our Instagram, it's just Lash Reality, um, and yeah, that's where we're at.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so happy that you came on.
Me too, Shelby, thank you so much for having me, I really enjoyed my time talking with you.
Of course, always. All right, well, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll be back next Tuesday with the next episode.